This is a brief look at how you can manage content in Tana. So I've broken this down into many levels because the beauty of Tana is you can just start writing. Keep it really simple and then let whatever structure you need grow as you're working through it. So I've divided this video into 7 levels and we'll see how many videos that is, but I'll try and keep this consistent so you can see it grow from like something really simple to something more advanced to something that is highly complex but specialized. What I mean by that is that it might not be exactly the flow you need, but as I work into this specific, more specialized flow, it'll hopefully give you ideas of how you can build your content management system in Tana, especially how you need it. All right, let's get started. So the first way I'm going to show here is basically how you can manage content in Tana just using the native editor, the bullet editor. So before you have any need of structure, you can just keep it really simple. Use Command Enter to create checkboxes and write down the things you need to do, and then use the structure, the kind of outliner, this bullet list, to put the content where it's needed and write this way. This is exactly how I would start if I had a new kind of workflow I wanted to bring into Tana. I wouldn't start with a lot of structure. I just start working. And then as you work, you'll see what kind of structure you actually need instead of just spending time building a massive system that is completely overkill. All right, so in this second level, we've added a bit of complexity in that there's an actual supertag involved. In this one, we are creating the supertag blog. And then we are using a couple of fields, a status field that we basically use to determine a workflow with several steps. You have a backlog writing, well, you can see what I'm writing here. So basically a status field that tells us which steps you're going to go through instead of having those individual steps as tasks. So this kind of structure I would only start adding once I know which steps I'm going to always repeat. And we've now added the field to be a part of the supertag always. And then we can go inside the content template, set which field value we want to be the default value for this supertag. And we add a due date field. This is becoming relevant to our workflow. We know that we need to know when to put our post out. And the great thing is that once you've added these fields, you can already start building a lot of really interesting complexity and in your visualizations in Tana. So here I'm setting up a task board for this blog, or a progress board. So just grouping by the status field values, removing the status not set, I don't want that. And now you already have a kind of a workflow Kanban board that you can use to run your processes. So this is content management. You now tag something blog, and then you use the status field to manage these steps that you're going through. And then you can just add your drafts inside. And yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, for the third level, we're adding some structure inside the individual instances of the supertag blog, which basically we're adding to-dos and ideas as things that can be relevant to a blog post. And the reason we're doing this is that using this system that we're building now, we can capture things that aren't blog posts necessarily, but relevant to whatever posts you're writing, wherever we are in Tana, and then send them into the post so they always appear when you're inside working on a specific project. So doing a little bit of kind of just visual work to make these look a bit different, look a bit interesting, and using checkboxes so I can kind of distinguish between tasks and ideas that I've looked at and ones I haven't. And then we're actually going into the related content section of the blog post supertag and adding a couple of searches there. One, to find tasks, and I think I'm going back on this. I don't want just tasks that haven't been done. I want to just group by done and not done. You'll see this in a second. And then I just duplicate the first search and I just make the exact same one, but using the blog idea supertag instead. Taking out the not done, grouping by done, and then you can see both the tasks for a project that are left to do, but also the ones that you haven't done yet. And then I just make sure that the done tasks, that would be the yes value here, appears at the bottom. So here we've created, and then I just display the done time for the ones that I've done. Okay, so here adding a couple of super tags, adding a couple of emojis just to make sure these look nice. And now these searches, because they're in related content, they're going to appear every time I go into a blog post. So now you can see I'm inside this post, and on the right-hand side, I have related content that shows me all the tasks and ideas that I have created for this specific blog post. And they're set up to find their tasks for the specific ones. So if you have several blog posts, these will be sorted perfectly and arrive only on the ones where they're relevant. Okay, fourth level. So for this one, we are kind of branching out into managing several different types of projects with the same super tag. So we're setting up a medium field, and the medium is which medium is this posted through. Is it a blog post? Is it social media post? Is this long form video? Is this a short video? And instead of just adding different super tags for the different types of posts, we're just creating an options field, an options field, a medium field, and customizing the different options inside here. So I'll just skip a bit forwards. And now we're adding a checkbox to the super tag post, and we're mapping it to the status field. And what that means is that by clicking the checkbox, you're changing the status field. If you're checking it, you're changing it now to publish. And if you're unchecking it, I basically set that value to go back to backlog. So if you uncheck, you go back to backlog. And I think that's it. So, and what this lets us do is that when we go back into this super tag homepage, we can create some more pages. Let's first edit this search to only find medium blog posts, blog posts. And this will basically filter down to just blog posts. And then we can just duplicate this view. And now we have a second one. And let's just go into the search and set the medium field to look for social media instead. And then obviously you have to rename it. I think I set this to be a table. And because we don't have any social media posts yet, you don't see anything in this table. So I just start creating one by typing inside this table view. And then I can finally add the fields. So I've actually added a AI suggested field. The AI suggested a content field, and I say, that's perfect. And then I add the fields that I've already created for the post super tag, due date and status. And now I can keep my post contents inside a field, and this will become relevant if I want to display it in a card view later or so. And now I'm just using the keep writing AI in Tana to just write out some random content for this one. So calling this social media table, and I think I duplicate this again to create the same thing for video, and just much of the same. I'm just gonna skip ahead. Yeah, so for the video board, you can see I'm actually adding an OR system field so that I'm both looking for long form video and for social media, the short videos. And I'm just managing both of those in the same view. That's all you saw with the OR field that I added inside the search. Creating now just an example post so that we have some content here, using Command E to send that directly to my day page, but the search will bring it back to the page that we just created. And there we have it. You can see the symbol there. I just remove it there. It's just that this one lives in a separate workspace from this board. This won't be relevant to you if you work with content inside your home workspace. And I'm not going to get into working in multiple workspaces in this video. Okay, so the last view that I add here is actually just a view for all the posts that I have. Basically, there's no filter here for just a single post type. It's videos, it is blog posts, it's social media, and everything in one calendar view. So what I'm illustrating with this is that without having to sit and create a lot of dashboards in a specific place in your Tana, just using the Supertag homepage, I can create a very useful dashboard with several views filtered to different categories of post here. and have them all appear in useful places inside my Supertag homepage, and can obviously manipulate the values, in this case the due date or the publish date if you like, by just moving stuff about in the calendar. For the fifth level, we're adding a bit of interlinked complexity. So instead of just having these fixed options for the medium, we're now adding a channel supertag to the values inside here. And I'm just doing that and then changing this field type to just look for any channel supertag instance, any instance of that supertag. And I'm doing that so that if I create more channels in this social media, in this content system in the future, they'll always appear in that options from supertag field medium inside the post. And inside the channels, each of the channels, I'm now creating, like I did with the post supertag a bit earlier, related content, so that if you go into one of these channels, you will see a search that finds all the posts that have been posted or are to be posted on that channel, basically. And in this case, I'm not changing the search. I'm actually just creating two different views so that you both have just a list view of all the posts, but then you also have one as a calendar inside there, and setting that to just this week. So you just have a weekly calendar view in the related content. And as we now close this, configure, and we go into one of these channels, you can see on the right-hand side, you now have related content that shows you relevant pieces of content for this channel. And then I just add a couple of fields that make sense for managing channels from my end, which URL to take you directly to managing the channel. And let's see, what's the second one I add here? Just basically the content rules for that channel, so that if someone else were to come in and have a look at content management in my Tana, they could read exactly how I want each different channel to be handled. So for the sixth level, we're doing something a bit different. We're now adding AI co-writing to our content management. So this is something some people like, some people don't. I think using AI can be super useful if you just if you're very specific about the type of use you're after. So AI right now, they're not going to write perfect articles in your tone of voice long enough just to publish. However, they can be pretty good at helping you outline and think through post ideas. So in this one, I'm actually doing two different commands. And one of them is just to bring up a field. Basically, I have a field I want inside my AI command, which is input for, in this case, the robot emoji. So by clicking that first button, all that does is use the command set field value to having that field, input for the robot, appear empty on the post. And then I can use this field to input ideas or rules or whatever I want to this co-writing AI that I'm going to have appear when I need it. So here, I'm just writing a very generic prompt for writing with AI in Tana. And this might be tedious or boring to some of you, but I'm just going to include it so that you can see how you kind of can very simply reference different fields and similar things in Tana using AI. So for this one, you can see I'm using a formula, the $sign, squiggly brackets, and then the vertical line and question mark, which the vertical line question mark just indicates that if you don't find a value in the medium field, return nothing. That's what that means. So you don't have to have a value here. And adding a bit of kind of rules for the writing. And for some of the prompts that I use for my own content setup, I have super specific, highly advanced, referencing a lot of different rules, different tone of voice rules and knowledge about what I want to write about. For this one, I'm keeping it super simple, but just adding some rules to what I want this AI to output. And I'm using these single quote signs to separate out sections. And then I'm referencing the fields that I want the AI to look at using this squiggly bracket $sign way. And you can see I use name just to get the system to know what the actual title of the node is. So you can use that as input as well. If I wanted to just give it the full node as context, I would just add $ squiggly bracket sys : context and squiggly bracket, and that will feed the entire context of that node into this prompt. I've written the prompt, happy about it. Now I'm just setting some filters. So for this one, I'm saying, and I'll change this to not defined, but I'm saying that only if this AI output is not defined do I want you to appear. You can see here I'm saying, yeah, I'm adding some rules. So you have to have an input field for this robot to appear, and then you cannot have an input field for this the toggle itself to appear. Again, if it doesn't make sense when I say it, just have a look at the video itself. It'll make it clear. It's just a way of making these commands appear or not appear based on field context here. So here I am testing the system out, going a bit into it so you can see more clearly, adding an input about what I want this post to be. And remember, from our prompt, we're feeding both this input field and the name of the post itself, the title of this node. And now the AI is outlining what we're saying based on the rules we said. And obviously you can look at your prompt and iterate on how you want this to look, to output exactly how you want this. Now I'm testing it with different mediums, and yeah, that's pretty much. This is what you see here is me troubleshooting an AI co-writing bot, but this is something that can be a super valuable part of a content management system in Tana if you're into using AI as a co-writer or idea generator or feedback generator or anything else. So for the 7th and final level of this, I am basically just taking the views that we've generated inside the Supertag homepage and giving them their own home in our workspace. So first, I'm just making it a bit pretty, adding a banner to the top of this node, and I probably add an icon as well here. Yes, I do. So underneath a top node, I add some searches. First, I'm adding a search for all posts, and I'll put them as a calendar view and call this will be the content calendar. And I'll just duplicate this because I want exactly the same search, but this is just adding a board for all the posts, so I can view them in kind of a Kanban / task, like a flow board view instead. And grouping these by the status field gives me the flow that I want. And just dragging these posts between these different columns will change the value of the status field, which is what we want here. And then I think the next one is just a channel map, kind of a list of all my channels, a way to work with these channels. So if I wanted to add notes to the channels, something like this is where I could work with those. It's just not handy to have it all in the same place. Set this as a table, and then I think I just add a contextual field here, a contextual column, which means that this is not something I necessarily need this field to be a part of the super tag, but I want it to appear here. And if I add values to this field, then you can see those values linked inside the tagged object, inside the channel, without being a part of the schema, of the structure of the super tag itself. And then lastly, this is also a good place to just have your content strategy or your whatever else is relevant to your content workflow handy, so you can go inside and have a look. Now I set the view to side menu. And that means you have this great kind of app layout where all the different pages or searches you've created appear as menu items on the side. And then I go into configure node on the actual parent node here to set up related content, not for a super tag, but for this specific node. And now you can see that the to-dos will appear up on the right-hand side. And because when I'm going through the menu items, I'm not actually zooming into those nodes. I'm technically staying on my parent node, this actual overlaying node. The related content is staying there on the side. So I have the thing that is relevant to all these different spaces, which is the to-dos and I think the upcoming posts. I have those available all times. Now you can see I do some half fancy search things here. I'm saying either I want to-dos that are either not done or that their done time is greater than for relative date last week. What that means is that I want either tasks that haven't been done yet or tasks that have been done the last week. That's what that is saying. And if you didn't catch what I said, just have a look at how I did it and you can do the same thing. Now I'm setting done time to display. And that means that that wouldn't do anything for a not done task, but for all the tasks that have been completed, you can see when were those marked completed. And important to bear in mind, the tasks that you have here can obviously be viewed from your other task system in Tana, from the task supertag, and wherever it is you mark it done, this search that we have on the right hand side, you'll see it in a second, will mark the done time here as well. So just sorting by the due date of the task, important. And you can see I've grouped the tasks, this is the post. I've grouped the posts by which due date they have. So you can see that you have posts, I think I set this to which day, but you can, as you can see at the bottom here, you can choose whether you want to group by week, by month, by day. I think I end up by week here. And I'm doing a new search, which is, I only want posts that have a defined due date to appear. That's what this means. So that if I have like a post idea that isn't yet part of that isn't yet a part of my content calendar, then I don't want to see it here on the, it wouldn't be relevant to all my workflows. So having set these searches up, and I think those are all the changes I make. You can now see how the content system is coming together. So we've created loads of interlinked super tags using fields, using these different views. And now, this view is a bit weird. If I zoomed out a lot, it would look smoother. This is made for widescreen. But this is basically a content system where you have all your relevant information fed in to this space from wherever in your Tana, and you can choose what is the most relevant view to you. If you zoom into any specific node here, you can work on that specific node using AI that you've set up exactly how you want it. And again, like I said in the beginning, this is just an example of going from a very generic, just using the outliner, the writing features of Tana content management system, all the way to a very specific kind of workflow-focused content management system that fits one specific use case. And I hope this gives you an idea of how you can go from simple to complex in your own Tana content management. Really looking forward to seeing how yours differs from mine. If you want to see a fantastic example of content management in Tana, you can look at Ev Chapman, who has just a beautiful system for going from ideas for posts, reusing posts, etc. Way different from this, but really, really, really cool. And if you have any questions, feedback, stuff you would like me to do differently, just let me know. Happy to make this content, so just reach out. All right.